Chloe Bennet had promised herself she wouldn't let Madison Cole ruin her night. Not again. Not a decade later. Not when she had spent the entire drive rehearsing calming affirmations like a woman about to enter a battlefield. But the moment she stepped into the banquet hall hosting their 10-year high school reunion and saw Madison standing there beneath the golden chandeliers, laughing effortlessly, hair shining like a commercial, surrounded by people who had spent their teenage years worshiping her, it hit Chloe like a snowball to the face. She was absolutely, undeniably, infuriatingly still affected by her. Madison Cole was the same as ever. And worse, gorgeous. Too gorgeous. She wasn't supposed to still look like the kind of girl who could walk into a room and shift the temperature, who could make Chloe's heartbeat glitch with a single glance. And yet, when Madison turned, spotted her, and raised an eyebrow with that insufferable half-smile, yes, the exact one that used to precede a devastating academic victory or a stolen captaincy vote, Chloe felt the old rivalry flare inside her like a match thrown into gasoline. Well, Madison said, sauntering over with the elegant confidence of someone who had absolutely never known the taste of defeat. If it isn't my favorite competition, I was never your favorite anything, Chloe muttered, already reaching for the nearest drink, because alcohol had helped her survive calculus with Madison. Surely it could help her survive this. True, Madison agreed lightly. You were just the only one who ever made things interesting. Chloe nearly choked on the champagne. Interesting. That was one way to describe the academic warfare, the volleyball captain battle, the scholarship duel, the year-long Cold War of passive-aggressive excellence. Before she could conjure a retort sharp enough to slice through Madison's smugness, their old classmates swarmed them, dragging them into a nostalgic frenzy of conversations, photo sessions, and, worst of all, games. She should have left the moment someone suggested truth or dare, a tradition that died for a reason. But Chloe stayed. Maybe because she was stubborn. Maybe because leaving would look like running from Madison, and she would rather eat glass. The drinks flowed. The room grew louder. Someone dared Chloe to admit her biggest teenage regret. Easy, not punching Madison. Laughter exploded everywhere. Madison placed a hand over her heart dramatically. I'm touched. You shouldn't be, Chloe muttered. Another drink. Another dare. Another moment of impulsive pride. And then disaster. CHLOE, someone shouted. We dare you to propose to Madison. The table erupted into chaotic glee. Someone cheered. Someone screamed. Someone dropped a cup. Chloe froze. Madison blinked. Not here, added Derek, drunk off his mind. At the Cole Christmas Gala, the huge one, the mansion thing, suddenly everyone was screaming agreement, pounding the table like they had collectively lost their minds. The annual Cole Christmas Gala was practically a local legend, lavish, exclusive, crawling with money and prestige. Chloe felt heat crawl up her neck. Absolutely not, she said. Oh, come on, Madison drawled, tilting her head with that infuriating confidence. Unless you're scared? Chloe saw red. She stood. Madison stood too. Their faces inches apart, the rivalry sparking like exposed wires. Fine, Chloe said through gritted teeth. I'll do it. Perfect, Madison replied, her smile sharp as ice. It should have ended there. A ridiculous dare that would dissolve by morning. Except Chloe didn't back down from challenges. And Madison never refused an opportunity to win. Which was why, 3 nights later, Chloe found herself standing inside the palatial Cole residence during the legendary Christmas Gala, dressed in a deep green velvet dress she borrowed because she had absolutely nothing appropriate for an event where the doorknobs probably cost more than her rent. Holiday music drifted through the air. Guests in shimmering attire mingled around towering Christmas trees dripping with ornaments. Everywhere she turned, another Cole relative seemed to be hosting a conversation like minor royalty. And at the center of it, as if she were the sun and everyone else merely planets orbiting her, stood Madison, radiant in a crimson gown, laughing with guests, looking nothing like the rival Chloe remembered, and everything like a woman who could ruin a life with a single smile. Madison spotted her. Their eyes met, and for a moment, just a single flicker, Chloe saw something she had never seen in those eyes before. Nervousness? No, couldn't be. Madison Cole didn't get nervous. Chloe approached, her heartbeat glitching again. She hated that it did that. Ready to humiliate yourself? Madison asked, voice teasing but softer than expected. Ready to watch me pull this off flawlessly? Chloe shot back, though her stomach was twisting itself into knots. The timing was perfect. The guests were gathered. The lights dimmed slightly for the announcement of the evening's toasts. And maybe Chloe should have backed out. Maybe she should have remembered she was sober this time. But pride and Madison's challenging eyes pushed her forward. She stepped into the center of the room. A hush fell. Madison turned toward her slowly, eyes widening. Chloe dropped to one knee. The guests gasped. Madison's grandmother, seated near the fireplace, clasped her hands over her chest in delight. And Chloe, feeling every ounce of panic possible inside a human body, spoke words meant to be nothing but a dare. Madison Cole, will you marry me? Time froze. The room held its breath. And Madison, smirking, victorious, unbelievable, said, yes. Chloe nearly blacked out. The room exploded with cheers. Madison's grandmother cried. Guests clapped and chattered excitedly. Someone asked about wedding dates. Someone else mentioned venues. And Chloe, still kneeling, whispered under her breath, you weren't supposed to say yes. Madison knelt down too, her face close, her voice barely audible. You weren't supposed to actually do it. I hate you, Chloe said weakly. Madison smiled. I know. But then the grandmother, tiny, fragile, beaming, stood with trembling joy. My girls, she said, tears in her eyes, finally. Chloe felt her stomach drop. Madison's smile faltered. And suddenly the dare wasn't funny anymore. The grandmother believed it, truly believed it, and something in Madison's expression, fear, worry, guilt, made everything shift. In that instant, they both realized they were trapped inside a lie neither of them could break, without shattering a heart too fragile to risk. Madison grabbed Chloe's hand. We need to talk, she whispered, and Chloe, for the first time that night, felt something strange coil inside her chest. Not anger, not rivalry, something warmer, something dangerous. Chloe didn't remember agreeing to be dragged into a broom closet-sized side room by Madison Cole, but there she was, stumbling past garlands and poinsettias as Madison slammed the door shut behind them, her crimson dress shimmering in the sliver of warm light filtering through the stained glass window. Okay, Madison said, hands on her hips, eyes wide with panic disguised as confidence. We need to fix this. You think, Chloe whisper-yelled, pressing her palms against her forehead. Your grandmother just basically announced our engagement to the entire state. She didn't announce it, Madison corrected, pacing. She celebrated it enthusiastically. Big difference. Oh, totally, Chloe snapped. The difference between a spark and a house fire. Madison stopped pacing long enough to glare. Why did you actually propose? Why did you actually say yes? Chloe countered. They stared at each other in an intense silence that would have made a telenovela proud. Finally, Madison groaned, covering her face with both hands. Nana's heart can't handle big shocks. She's been so worried I'd die alone with nothing but a cat named Sir Meowington to remember me by. Chloe blinked. You don't have a cat named Sir Meowington. Not yet. But she talks about it like it's inevitable. Madison let out a dramatic sigh. She's been wanting to see me settled for years. This wasn't what I planned. Planned, Chloe repeated. You planned for your high school enemy/tormentor/rival to propose to you at a major holiday event. Madison crossed her arms. You weren't my enemy. You were just annoyingly excellent at everything I was excellent at. That's literally the definition of an enemy, Chloe argued. No, Madison corrected with a smug tilt of her head. That's the definition of a challenge. Chloe's brain short-circuited for 2 seconds. Was Madison flirting? No. Impossible. She was just being Madison. The door suddenly swung open, and both women scrambled away from each other like guilty teenagers. A man with a glittery reindeer tie stood there, gasping dramatically. Oh my goodness. The fiancés are having a secret moment. How romantic. Chloe nearly screamed. Madison pinched the bridge of her nose. Uncle Lou, we're just talking. Of course you are. He winked like a man who winked at absolutely everything. Carry on, lovebirds. And he closed the door. Chloe groaned. This is already a disaster. Which is why we need a plan, Madison replied, slipping into full CEO mode. Chloe hated how attractive that was. Fine. What's the plan? We pretend, Madison said simply. For tonight. For the weekend. Warm enough for Nana to feel happy and stable. You want us to fake an engagement, Chloe repeated slowly, as if saying it out loud might trigger some sanity in Madison. Yes. And in exchange. Madison took a breath, dropping the confident tone just a notch. I'll help you secure the Bennett Silva account. Chloe froze. Her heart stopped. Her lungs forgot oxygen existed. That account, Madison, that's huge. That's life-changing huge. Madison nodded. And my family's company is on the board. I can help you get in the room. Chloe stared. The rivalry, the pride, the competitiveness, they all collided with the screaming reality that this insane arrangement might actually save her struggling business. You're serious, Chloe whispered. Madison met her eyes. Completely. Chloe exhaled. Fine. We fake it. Great. But, Chloe added quickly, we need rules. Lots of rules. Madison smirked. It's cute that you think you're in charge of this. Rule 1. Chloe said loudly over her. No touching unless necessary. Madison blinked. Necessary. Chloe's face heated. You know, to be convincing. You think touching me isn't convincing? Madison asked, stepping slightly closer with a mischievous spark in her eyes. No, Chloe snapped. I mean yes. I mean, forget it. Madison laughed, actually laughed, like bells in winter. Relax, Bennett. I'm not trying to seduce you. Great, Chloe muttered, because that would never work. Madison raised one eyebrow. Interesting confidence level. Noted. Chloe wanted to fall into the snow outside and let hypothermia take her. Okay, rule 2, she pressed on. We keep everything simple. Hand-holding maybe. A hug if someone is staring. No dramatic gestures. Outside the room, someone knocked loudly. Girls. Nana wants pictures with her future granddaughters-in-law. Chloe squeaked. Madison face-bombed. We have to go, she groaned. Wait, rule 3. Chloe hissed. What is it? No kissing. Madison froze. Her lips parted slightly, not in anger, not in shock, but something else. Something unreadable. Fine, Madison said finally, her voice low. No kissing. They opened the door, stepping back into the glittering chaos of the gala. And immediately, disaster. Someone shouted. There they are. The happy couple. Chloe's arm was grabbed by a swarm of relatives, and Madison was shoved right beside her. They were positioned under a doorway decorated with mistletoe so massive it looked like it had been engineered for emotional manipulation. Kiss. Kiss. Kiss, people chanted. Chloe's soul left her body. Madison leaned in and whispered, no kissing rule. Good call. Then, loudly and sweetly, she announced, we're saving the kiss for a special moment. Nana melted. The crowd swooned. Chloe almost fainted. They were escorted to the living room, where a massive Christmas tree stood tall enough to brush the ceiling. Nana clapped her hands. Come stand by the tree. Hold hands. Love what you've seen so far. Chloe reluctantly took Madison's hand and immediately regretted everything. Because Madison's hand was warm, soft, familiar in the way an old song feels familiar even after years of silence. Madison squeezed lightly, probably for the show. Except Chloe's pulse didn't understand it was fake. Cameras flashed. People cheered. Madison leaned closer, whispering, You're shaking. I'm cold, Chloe lied. Madison glanced at her bare shoulders. You're wearing velvet, Bennett. not a sheet of ice. You're nervous. I'm not, Chloe insisted. Your hand is sweating. It's called human biology. Aha. The photographer called. Now gaze lovingly. Chloe internally died. Madison turned, her expression softening. Not teasing this time, not triumphant, but something else entirely. A look Chloe had never seen directed at her. And it almost made her forget they hated each other. They held the pose. Too long. Warm enough for Chloe to feel Madison's breath, her warmth, her presence in a way she had avoided for 10 years. Warm enough to wonder, dangerously, what it would have been like if they had never become enemies. Then Uncle Lou shouted, I can feel the chemistry from here. The moment shattered. Madison snorted. Chloe groaned. Nana declared she wanted them to share a room tonight because engaged couples don't sleep apart. Madison nearly choked. Chloe nearly died twice. Absolutely not, Chloe began, but Madison elbowed her. We'll talk about it, Madison told Nana sweetly. In private, once again, they were dragged through crowds, congratulated, hugged, handed cocoa, handed cookies, handed ornaments to place on the tree, as their first act as a couple, forced into more photos, introduced to distant cousins, applauded by strangers, and even serenaded by a group of carolers who improvised a song about love at first sight. By the time they stumbled down a quiet hallway away from the chaos, Chloe was breathless, overwhelmed, and dangerously close to laughing hysterically. Madison leaned against the wall, exhaling. Okay, she said. That was the lot. Chloe nodded. I think I died 3 times. Madison looked at her. We're going to have to share a room. No, Chloe said. Yes, Madison corrected. Unless you want to break Nana's heart, and I'm assuming you don't. Chloe groaned into her hands. This is the worst dare in human history. Agreed, Madison said, pushing off the wall. But if we're doing this, Bennett, we're doing it well. So tomorrow, we learn each other's fake relationship details, favorite nicknames, inside jokes, pet peeves that we pretend to find cute. Chloe blinked. Fake relationship lessons. Wow. Think of it as research, Madison said, flipping her hair. You love research. I love research, Chloe corrected. Not this. You'll survive. Madison smirked and headed toward the guest rooms. Chloe followed, muttering curses to every Christmas decoration on the walls. When they finally reached their designated room, with one bed, of course, Madison gave Chloe a look that was half amusement, half apology. If it helps, Madison said softly, I really didn't expect to be fake engaged to you this Christmas. If it helps, Chloe replied, I didn't expect to feel this confused. Madison paused. Confused? Chloe's face burned. It's nothing. Forget it. Madison didn't push. She simply stepped inside, flicked on the warm golden lights, and whispered, Good night, Bennett. And Chloe, alone in the doorway, exhaled slowly, realizing the problem wasn't the lie. The problem was how real parts of it had already begun to feel. Chloe woke to the sound of bells. Not soft holiday bells. Aggressive ones. Loud enough to suggest Santa had lost control of his sleigh and crashed directly into the hallway outside their room. She bolted upright, heart pounding, only to realize 2 things simultaneously. 1, she was indeed sharing a bed with Madison Cole, and 2, Madison was staring at her with the exact expression Chloe imagined she might use if she discovered a spider wearing a tiny top hat sitting on her pillow. You snore, Madison said bluntly. Chloe gasped. I do not. You do. It's small, like a tiny pocket chainsaw. Pocket chainsaw? Chloe sputtered. Is that even a thing? It is now, Madison said, tossing her hair and slipping gracefully out of bed while Chloe tried to remember how to breathe. Madison stretched, looking annoyingly ethereal in her oversized sweater and pajama shorts, which was unfortunate because Chloe was trying very hard not to notice anything about Madison in pajama shorts. We have approximately 5 minutes before my family storms this room, Madison announced, already smoothing her hair. They like to do what they call a relationship quiz. Nana thinks it's cute. I think it's emotional terrorism. A relationship quiz? Chloe echoed, horrified. Madison nodded. They will ask questions like, how did you meet? And what does Madison do that makes you melt? And when did you know she was the one? You know, nightmare fuel. Chloe felt heat crawl up her neck. We don't have answers for any of that. Exactly why we're rehearsing, Madison said, placing her hands on her hips like a strict but undeniably hot debate coach. Sit. Chloe sat, mostly because her legs forgot how to say no. Madison paced in front of her, muttering to herself. Okay, basic story. We met at the reunion. Technically true, Chloe said. Yes, but we need a romantic spin. Something dramatic. Something Nana will cry over. You want to invent a telenovela? Chloe asked. I want to survive Christmas, Madison corrected. Now, ideas? Chloe rubbed her temples. Okay, we met at the reunion. You saw me across the room. You realized I wasn't the same person I used to be. You fell immediately in. Madison raised one eyebrow. Try again. Chloe huffed. Fine. You saw me and you thought, hey, there's someone who won't ruin family gatherings. Better, Madison said thoughtfully, but still too flattering. My family knows I have bad taste in dating. Chloe blinked. Do you? Madison shrugged. Apparently. They remind me constantly. Chloe couldn't picture anyone rejecting Madison Cole. Not when she looked like this. Not when she moved with such confidence and spoke with such conviction. Okay, Madison continued, clapping once. Next, favorite thing about each other. And try not to say something insulting disguised as a compliment. Me? Chloe demanded. You're the one who called me a pocket chainsaw. That was an observation, not an insult. Chloe groaned. Fine. My favorite thing about you. She studied Madison, really studied her, noticing small details she had never allowed herself to look at before. The faint scar on her eyebrow she must have gotten years ago, the softness around her eyes when she wasn't posing for anyone, the way her hair curled slightly at the ends in the morning. Your determination, Chloe said finally. Madison blinked. My determination? Yeah. You never back down. Ever. Even when you probably should. Madison stared for a long moment, something unreadable flickering across her face. That's surprisingly genuine. Chloe rolled her eyes. Don't sound so shocked. Madison recovered quickly, clearing her throat as if emotions were inconvenient paperwork she had no interest in filing. Your turn, Chloe said. What's your favorite thing about me? Your stubbornness, Madison answered instantly. You haven't changed since high school. You still look at a challenge like it's personally offended you. That's not a compliment, Chloe said. Of course it is. It's impressive. Maddening, but impressive. Chloe felt something warm expand in her chest. She tried to squash it. Before she could process the moment any further, there was a thunderous knock. Rise and shine, lovebirds. Uncle Lou shouted. Quiz time. Oh Lord, Madison murmured. Brace yourself. The door flew open. Not politely, not gently, with the energy of a SWAT team fueled by sugar cookies. Nana entered first, wrapped in a robe covered in golden snowflakes, followed by half the Cole family carrying clipboards, mistletoe, and what appeared to be a portable speaker system playing Mariah Carey's greatest hits. Sit, Nana ordered cheerfully. Chloe sat so fast she nearly sprained something. Madison looked resigned to her fate. First question, Nana said, adjusting her glasses. When did you two realize you had feelings for each other? Chloe and Madison exchanged a quick panic glance. At the reunion, Chloe blurted. When she insulted me, Madison added. They paused. Nana frowned. That doesn't sound romantic. It was. Madison lied smoothly. Sharp banter. Tension. Sparks. Like emotional fireworks. Emotional fireworks? Chloe whispered. Shut up, Madison whispered back. Next question. Uncle Lou boomed. What's your song? Our song. Chloe choked. Yes, Nana said, clasping her hands. the song that perfectly captures your love. Chloe's brain spun through holiday music like a malfunctioning jukebox. At the exact same time, Madison said, "Jingle Bell Rock." Chloe stared at her. "Seriously? It's festive," Madison defended. "It's chaotic," Chloe countered. "Exactly like us," Madison shot back. Nana squealed with delight. "Oh, that's perfect." "Next question," a cousin yelled. "Who said I love you first?" Chloe nearly swallowed her tongue. Madison froze. Nana looked ready to faint from anticipation. "I did," Chloe said quickly, because panic made her stupid. Madison's head whipped toward her so fast Chloe heard her neck crack. "You did?" "Yes," Chloe said, trying not to visibly sweat. "When?" Nana asked. Chloe scrambled. "Last night. After the reunion. In the parking lot." "Oh my goodness." Nana clapped a hand to her chest. "That's so romantic." "It was," Madison said slowly. Her eyes locked on Chloe with a mixture of amusement, confusion, and something startlingly soft. Before Chloe could hyperventilate, Uncle Lou pulled out a tiny box. "Next activity, ornament decorating. Each couple makes an ornament representing their relationship." "This family is intense," Chloe whispered. "So you see why I drink at holidays," Madison replied. They were ushered to a giant craft table covered in glitter, glue, sequins, paint, tiny wooden snowflakes, and far too much enthusiasm. Madison picked up a plain round ornament and handed it to Chloe. "Go on. Make something meaningful." "Meaningful?" "Yes. Something that symbolizes our love." Chloe gave her a look. Madison smirked. "Our fake love," she corrected. "Better." Chloe stared at the supplies. Then she grabbed paint, red and green, and in shaky letters wrote, "Mayhem and mistletoe." Madison burst out laughing. "That is accurate. Horrifyingly accurate." "Your turn," Chloe said. Madison took the ornament, thought seriously for 20 seconds, then painted a tiny trophy and wrote, "My favorite rival." Chloe's heart did something alarming, something warm, something she ignored immediately. Uncle Lou held up both ornaments. "Spectacular," he declared. "These will go on the family tree." "What?" Chloe squeaked. "Forever," Nana added. "Every year. Your love will be immortalized on our Christmas tree." Madison whispered, "We're going to hell." They survived the rest of the quiz, including questions like, "What's Chloe's favorite dessert?" Madison guessed wrong. Chloe corrected her, causing Nana to say, "What does Madison look like when she's in love?" Chloe choked on hot cocoa. "And how many kids do you want?" "0, they both said instantly. After 2 hours of interrogation disguised as holiday bonding, the family finally dispersed to prepare for the next event, Christmas cookie baking. Chloe collapsed onto the couch, exhausted. Madison fell beside her, head tipping back dramatically. "We did it," Madison muttered. "Barely," Chloe said. "Your cousin asked if we had wedding colors picked out." "My family escalates," Madison said. "Fast." Chloe exhaled slowly. "We really have to keep this up until Christmas?" Madison turned her head toward her. "You promised. And my grandmother is everything to me. Please." The softness in Madison's voice hit Chloe like a gentle snowfall. Unexpected, quiet, beautiful. "Okay," Chloe whispered. "We'll keep going." Madison smiled. Not the smug smile. Not the victorious smile. A real one. Warm. Genuine. "Thank you," she said. Chloe's heart definitely did something. Again. Then, as if sensing the moment had gone too deep, Madison stood abruptly. "Come on, Bennett. Cookie baking awaits. And if we don't show up together, my family will start planning our honeymoon." Chloe groaned. "This weekend is going to kill me." "Same," Madison replied cheerfully. "But at least we look good doing it." And as they walked toward the kitchen, shoulder brushing shoulder, Chloe realized something terrifying. Pretending was definitely, unequivocally becoming dangerous. Chloe quickly learned 2 important facts about Madison Cole that morning. 1, she was a menace in the kitchen. And 2, She had zero awareness of how much of a menace she actually was. The annual Cole Christmas Cookie Bake-Off was apparently a sacred tradition, complete with teams, referees, Uncle Lou wearing a Santa apron and a whistle, and Nana acting as an overly biased judge who clearly intended to crown her granddaughters-in-law as champions regardless of their actual skill. The kitchen looked like a Hallmark movie had exploded inside it. Peppermint-striped bowls, flour canisters dressed in tiny scarves, cookie cutters shaped like every object imaginable, including what suspiciously resembled a tax document, courtesy of the accountant cousin. Each couple was assigned a station, and Madison confidently strutted to theirs like she was preparing to lead a board meeting rather than touch food. "I should warn you," Chloe whispered as she tied her apron. "I take baking seriously." "And I should warn you," Madison replied with a dazzling smile. "I once tried to boil water and set off a smoke alarm." Chloe froze. Boil water. "In my defense," Madison said, cracking eggs with the elegance of a malfunctioning woodpecker, "the pot was too small, and I thought adding more water would help." "It doesn't help, Madison," Chloe said. "It makes it worse." "Well, now I know." "Do you?" Chloe asked, eyeing the half-crushed eggshell in Madison's fingers. "Barely," Madison admitted. "But I look very cute in this apron, so we will succeed." Chloe groaned. "Is that how you solve everything? Looking cute? It works 90% of the time," Madison said. "The other 10%? I use money." Chloe snorted before she could stop herself, and Madison shot her a triumphant glance like she had just scored a victory in an invisible game. The chaos began immediately. Flour flew. Sugar spilled. Someone sneezed into a bowl, which triggered a 10-minute lecture on hygiene from two aunts. Madison, convinced she could wing it, dumped an entire tablespoon of salt into their dough, singing a Christmas song off-key. "Madison," Chloe grabbed her wrist. "That's salt." Madison blinked. "Oh, I thought it was festive sugar." "Festive sugar?" Chloe repeated. "It was next to the food coloring," Madison defended. "Everything near food coloring is suspicious. We're starting over." Madison pouted. A genuine pout. An adorable, infuriating pout that made Chloe's brain malfunction for several seconds. "It's fine," Chloe said, trying not to sound breathless. "We'll do this together." They mixed the dough. Madison somehow got flour in her hair, on her cheeks, on her sweater, and inexplicably on Chloe's elbow. Chloe reached to brush flour from Madison's cheek, pure instinct, and froze when Madison stilled, eyes widening, breath catching just slightly. Chloe's fingers hovered inches from Madison's skin. Too close. Too soft. Too dangerous. She pulled back quickly. "You have, flour. Everywhere." Madison exhaled with a crooked smile. "Occupational hazard." "You don't have an occupation that involves flour," Chloe murmured. "I do now," Madison replied. "Fake fiancés bake." "Right," Chloe said, heart drumming. "Fake fiancés." They rolled the dough. Madison rolled it too thin in some spots, too thick in others, and accidentally created a shape that closely resembled a sad potato. She held it proudly. "Look," she said. "A heart." "That's not a heart," Chloe said gently. "It's a blob." "It's an abstract heart," Madison insisted. "Modern art. Modern disaster," Chloe muttered. Their bickering drew attention, which drew teasing, which drew more competitive fire than either of them were prepared for. Soon, they were racing against cousins who claimed to be cookie prodigies, and Nana was shouting commentary like a sports announcer. "Team Mistletoe Magic is falling behind," she yelled. "Team Gingerbread Glory is cheating." Uncle Lou shrieked. Flower fights broke out. Christmas music blasted. Madison accidentally bumped Chloe's hip with her own, sending her sideways into a pile of sprinkles. Chloe responded by flicking a tiny bit of flour at Madison's nose. Madison gasped, dramatically offended. "Did you just attack me with powder?" "Maybe," Chloe said, smirking. Madison dipped her fingers into the flour canister. "Retribution is coming. Don't you dare." Madison dared. She reached out and smeared flour along Chloe's jawline, laughing triumphantly. Chloe squealed, grabbed a fistful herself, and launched it back, straight into Madison's hair. There was silence. Then Madison blinked slowly. "You did not." "Oh, I did," Chloe declared. And suddenly, they weren't fake fiancés trapped in a lie. They were two women laughing uncontrollably, slipping around the kitchen, flinging flour like snow, glowing with mischief and warmth. For a moment, the rivalry didn't exist. For a moment, it felt like they could have been friends. More than friends. Something softer. Something dangerously close to real. Eventually, Nana clapped her hands to restore order, though she was smiling too widely to be truly disappointed. "Time's up, lovebirds. Present your cookies." Their cookies, uneven but charming, earned the Most Spirited award, which seemed like a polite way of saying, "You two created chaos, but were cute about it." Madison accepted the ribbon, like she'd won an Olympic medal. And then, while the rest of the family dispersed to clean up or prepare for the next event, Madison tugged Chloe's sleeve. "Come with me," she whispered. Before Chloe could ask why, Madison guided her out of the kitchen, down a quiet hallway lit only by soft golden sconces and the faint glow of Christmas lights reflecting off polished wood floors. They slipped into the conservatory, a glass-walled room filled with plants, twinkle lights, and a view of gently falling snow outside. It was quiet, peaceful, isolated. Madison exhaled slowly, tension leaving her shoulders. "I needed air," she said softly, "and maybe a moment without my family poking us with mistletoe sticks." "Understandable," Chloe replied, leaning against a pillar wrapped in silver garland. Madison paced a little, then stopped in front of Chloe, close, too close, her expression unexpectedly serious. "You're good at this," Madison said quietly. "At what?" Chloe asked. "At pretending." Madison's voice was warm, but tinged with something else. Something honest. Vulnerable. Chloe swallowed. "I'm trying to help your grandmother. That's all." Madison nodded slowly, but her eyes didn't quite match the motion. They held something deeper, searching. "Still," Madison said, stepping closer, "you make it feel almost real." Chloe's breath caught. The room felt smaller, warmer. Madison looked at her the way one looks at a question whose answer might change everything. "Back there in the kitchen," Madison continued, voice softer now, "you laughed. I've known you for years, Bennett. I don't think I've ever seen you laugh like that." "That's because you usually made my life miserable," Chloe said automatically, though the words lacked any real bite. "Maybe let me," Madison whispered. Chloe blinked. "What does that even mean?" Madison hesitated, looked at the floor, looked back up. "In high school, maybe I wasn't competing with you because I hated you. Maybe it was something else. Something I didn't know how to deal with." Chloe's heart skipped, then raced, then tangled itself in knots. "Madison, don't worry," Madison said quickly, backing up half a step with a tight smile that didn't reach her eyes. "I'm not confessing anything. I'm just talking." But Chloe felt the shift, felt the truth hanging unspoken between them like the garlands lining the room. Chloe stepped forward before she could stop herself. "Madison," she said softly, "you don't have to pretend anything with me. Not right now." Madison let out a breath, shaky, quiet, real. "That's the problem, Bennett." She met Chloe's eyes. "It feels easier to be real when it's you." Their gazes locked. The snow fell silently behind them. Somewhere in the house, distant laughter echoed. But here, just the two of them, close enough to feel each other's warmth, something shifted. Something undeniable. Something they both felt. And then, "Girls," Uncle Lou's voice boomed down the hallway. "It's time for the Christmas scavenger hunt." Madison groaned, dropping her forehead against Chloe's shoulder for one brief, breathtaking second. Chloe froze, then melted, then forgot how to function entirely. Madison lifted her head slowly, eyes bright with embarrassment and something else. Something dangerous. "If they find us here," she whispered, "they're going to drag us under another mistletoe." "We should go," Chloe whispered back. "We should definitely go," Madison agreed. But neither of them moved. Not for several long, Quiet, heart-thudding seconds. Eventually, reluctantly, they stepped apart and left the conservatory. But the moment stayed behind, hanging in the warm air like the ghost of something neither of them were ready to name. Chloe had never imagined a scenario in which she and Madison Cole would be voluntarily paired together for a Christmas scavenger hunt, and yet here they were, being handed a tiny red envelope by Nana, while the rest of the family scattered across the mansion grounds like holiday-obsessed lunatics. But something was different now, something subtle but undeniable. The laughter in the kitchen, the moment in the conservatory, the way Madison's forehead had rested on Chloe's shoulder, soft and warm and unexpectedly vulnerable. Chloe felt it lingering like the phantom warmth of a candle flame, flickering somewhere inside her chest where it absolutely had no right to be. Madison seemed aware of it too. Or maybe Chloe imagined the way Madison avoided eye contact as they stepped into the snowy courtyard, crunching across fresh powder illuminated by strings of warm lights winding around the trees. "Okay," Madison said, opening the envelope. "Let's see what holiday torture awaits us." Chloe leaned closer to read the small card inside. "Find something hidden that reminds you of your partner," Madison read aloud. She snorted. "Oh, good. Emotional manipulation disguised as fun. It's not that bad," Chloe said, though her heart thumped at the word partner. Madison groaned dramatically. "What am I supposed to find? A competitive trophy? A clipboard? A stress ball shaped like anxiety?" Chloe elbowed her lightly. "Haha, very original." Madison grinned playfully, and it was that look, the real one, the one Chloe had glimpsed in the conservatory before the interruption, that made her pulse skip. "Let's just get this over with," Madison said. But neither of them moved. The yard was quiet. Snow drifted in slow, delicate flakes. Their breath misted in the cold air. They were alone, finally, truly alone, with no aunts, no mistletoe mobs, no Nana appearing at random with sentimental questions. "Well," Chloe said, her voice softer than she intended. "What reminds you of me?" Madison blinked at her, slowly, as if the question had a different weight now, heavier and deeper than the card intended. "That's complicated," Madison murmured. Chloe swallowed. "It's just for the game." "Right," Madison said, though her eyes said otherwise. She turned and began walking toward the small garden path illuminated with lanterns. Chloe followed, the silence between them thick, but not uncomfortable, just charged, like the air before the first snowfall. "I used to hate this place as a kid," Madison said unexpectedly. "Too many traditions. Too many expectations." Chloe glanced at her. "You? Hate Christmas traditions? Impossible." Madison smiled faintly. "You'd be surprised. My family is a lot. Most holidays were performance time. Be perfect. Be polite. Be impressive." "And you always were," Chloe said before she could stop herself. Madison halted, slowly turned. Her eyes searched Chloe's face with startling intensity. "Did you think that?" Chloe's breath caught. "Of course. Everyone did. You weren't untouchable." A quiet laugh escaped Madison, not mocking, not cold, but sad. "Funny. I always thought you were the untouchable one." Chloe blinked at her. "Me?" "Yes, you," Madison said, stepping a little closer, snowflakes catching in her hair like tiny stars. "You were confident, honest. You never pretended to be someone else. I envied that." Chloe stared. The world tilted a fraction. This wasn't flattering banter. This wasn't rivalry disguised as humor. Madison was confessing something real. "I didn't know," Chloe said quietly. "You weren't supposed to know," Madison admitted. "You annoyed me because you made me feel off balance. And I hate feeling off balance." "You hide it well," Chloe said. "Years of practice." Another step forward. They were close now. Closer than they'd ever been without arguing. "Why are you telling me this?" Chloe whispered. Madison hesitated. Looked away. Looked back. "Because pretending is getting harder," she said, voice barely audible over the soft wind. Chloe's heart stumbled. She felt the honesty between them like a string pulled taut. Madison. Madison suddenly looked down, clearing her throat. "We should find something for the scavenger hunt," she said briskly, but her voice wavered slightly. "Before my family starts tracking us with holiday drones or something." Chloe let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding and followed Madison deeper into the garden. Lanterns reflected off icicles, casting sparkling shapes across the snow. Eventually, Madison stopped in front of a small wooden bench shaped like a sleigh. She brushed snow off the seat, uncovering a carved design along the wood. "Here," Madison said softly. "This reminds me of you." Chloe frowned. "A bench." Madison shook her head and pointed. The carving was of two foxes curled together, their tails intertwined, carved with delicate swirls and tiny snowflakes. "They're clever," Madison said. "Determined. Loyal." She glanced at Chloe. "You're like that. You push forward even when you shouldn't, even when you're scared." Chloe felt warmth rise to her cheeks despite the cold. "That's unexpectedly sweet of you." Madison shrugged, trying to look casual, but the pink on her cheeks wasn't from the weather. "Don't get used to it." "My turn," Chloe said, stepping away and scanning the nearby decorations until she spotted a lantern with intricate frost-like etchings. She lifted it and held it out. "This reminds me of you." Madison arched a brow. "A lantern. It's elegant, bright." Chloe hesitated. "And people gravitate to it without even realizing they're doing it." Madison's expression softened in the same way it had in the conservatory, unguarded, vulnerable, something real slipping through the cracks she kept so carefully sealed. Chloe, she didn't finish the thought. Couldn't, because the moment stretched between them like a thin strand of ice ready to break under too much weight. Chloe moved first, just a small step, but enough to erase some of the distance. Madison's breath hitched. "We should head back," Madison whispered, though her body didn't move. "Probably," Chloe whispered back, also not moving. Snow fell softly around them, catching in their hair, settling on their clothes. The lantern light reflected in Madison's eyes, giving them a warm gold glow that made Chloe feel dizzy. Madison's hand lifted, hesitant, trembling just slightly, until her fingers grazed Chloe's wrist. Light. Barely there, but enough to send a shiver through Chloe that had nothing to do with the cold. "This is a bad idea," Madison murmured. "Very bad," Chloe agreed. Madison's fingers moved to Chloe's hand, intertwined gently, slowly, like she was afraid Chloe might pull away. Chloe didn't want to. "We're supposed to be pretending," Madison whispered. "I know. This doesn't feel like pretending." "I know." Madison exhaled shakily, her forehead leaning toward Chloe's just slightly, just enough that Chloe felt the ghost of her warmth. And maybe if the world had stayed quiet, they would have closed the distance. Maybe everything would have changed right there. But distant footsteps crunched in the snow, shattering the fragile bubble around them. Madison pulled back immediately, hands dropping to her sides, mask sliding over her expression like a reflex. "Come on," she said, voice suddenly brisk. "Let's turn these in before my family thinks we're making out behind a hedge." Chloe didn't trust herself to speak. Not yet. They walked back side by side, but the space between them now thrummed with something electric, something neither of them dared name. When they reached the courtyard again, laughter and shouting from the rest of the family spilled through the air, but Chloe only heard her heartbeat and Madison's quickened breathing beside her. They turned in their items. Compliments flew. Nana squealed. But Chloe barely heard any of it, because Madison wasn't looking at the family. She was looking at Chloe. Quietly, carefully, like the moment in the garden hadn't ended, just paused. And Chloe knew, with absolute terrifying clarity, that the line between fake and real had officially begun to blur. Chloe couldn't shake the moment in the garden. Not the cold air, not the soft snowfall, not the lantern light glowing across Madison's features like she was crafted from something delicate and breakable instead of sharp and intimidating. And especially not the way Madison's fingers had slipped between hers, hesitant, trembling, Like she was terrified of what the touch meant, but even more terrified to let go. She felt it for the rest of the scavenger hunt. Felt it through the congratulatory cheers, the laughter, the teasing relatives. Felt it through dinner preparations and warm cider and Christmas songs drifting faintly through the mansion halls. But more than anything, she felt it in the way Madison kept looking at her, not openly, not boldly, but in small glances layered with questions neither of them knew how to answer. It wasn't until later, long after the family vanished into various rooms to wrap presents and gossip, that Chloe found herself walking back toward the guest room she shared with Madison. Her steps slowed before she reached the door. She could hear movement inside. Soft, frantic, unmistakably Madison-like. Taking a breath, Chloe pushed the door open. Madison spun around, startled, clutching one of the ridiculous holiday pillows shaped like a gingerbread man. Chloe raised an eyebrow. "Were you stress-hugging a pillow?" Madison straightened her posture so quickly she nearly pulled a muscle. "Absolutely not." Madison. "Fine." Madison huffed, tossing the pillow aside. "Maybe. It's been a long day." Chloe stepped farther into the room. It was dimly lit with warm Christmas lights Madison had apparently plugged in while Chloe was gone, giving the space a soft golden glow. It made everything feel smaller, quieter, more intimate. Madison exhaled slowly, sitting at the edge of the bed. "We need to talk." Chloe froze. The four most dangerous words in the universe. She nodded and sat across from her, knees almost touching. Madison rubbed her palms against her thighs. "Earlier," she began, voice softer than Chloe had ever heard it. "In the garden, something happened." Chloe's heartbeat thudded. "Yes," she whispered. "Something did." Madison swallowed. "We should ignore it." Chloe blinked, taken aback. "Ignore it?" "Yes," Madison said quickly. "Because this is pretending. A game. A very elaborate, very emotionally irresponsible Christmas performance." "Madison, we have rules," Madison insisted, pointing as if listing them physically would make them more true. "No touching unless necessary. No kissing. No feelings." Chloe stared at her. Really stared. Madison's shoulders were tense, jaw tight, eyes a little too bright like she was bracing for impact. "Are you saying you felt nothing?" Chloe asked softly. Madison's lips parted, briefly, before she shut them. Her voice came out thin. "I'm saying we can't feel anything." Chloe's breath caught. Not the same thing. Not even close. Madison's hands trembled slightly as she stood and began pacing. "This is temporary. You'll leave after Christmas. I'll go back to my life. You'll go back to yours. And Nana will be fine because she'll have had a beautiful, heartwarming holiday memory." Chloe remained silent, listening, watching, feeling something twisting in her chest. "We can't get confused," Madison continued, though she sounded like she was arguing with herself more than Chloe. "Not because of nostalgia, or proximity, or whatever that was." Chloe stood slowly. "Madison." Madison froze mid-step. "Look at me." Madison did. Hesitantly, almost painfully. Chloe's voice gentled. "You don't have to pretend right now. Not with me." Madison let out a shaky breath. "That's exactly the problem. I don't know how to pretend with you anymore." Chloe's heart flipped. Madison's gaze dropped to the floor. "In high school," Madison whispered, "I pushed you away. I competed. I provoked you. I did everything except admit that you made me feel." She trailed off. Silence. Heavy. Breathless. "Made you feel what?" Chloe asked softly. Madison shook her head. "Doesn't matter." Chloe stepped closer. Madison didn't step back. Not even when their arms nearly brushed. Not even when Chloe lifted a trembling hand and rested it lightly on Madison's forearm. Madison inhaled sharply. So softly Chloe almost didn't hear it. "It matters to me," Chloe whispered. Madison closed her eyes. For a moment, she looked like someone standing on the edge of something terrifying and beautiful. "You made me feel seen," Madison whispered finally. "And I hated it because I didn't know what to do with it." Chloe's breath stopped. Madison opened her eyes, and they were shining. Not with tears, but something raw, something unguarded. And now, Chloe whispered. Madison gave a tiny, helpless laugh. Now it's worse. Chloe didn't move away. Worse. Much worse, Madison murmured. Because I can't tell if what I'm feeling is part of the act, or something I've been running from for 10 years. The room felt too small, too warm, too full of truths that neither of them were ready to name. Chloe lifted her hand fully now, fingertips brushing the side of Madison's jaw, slowly, gently, as if afraid she might break. Madison's breath hitched again. Her eyes fluttered, but didn't close. Chloe's voice was barely a whisper. Madison, tell me to stop. Madison didn't, couldn't, wouldn't. Her hand rose, almost involuntarily, resting against Chloe's waist. The touch was featherlight, and yet it felt like lightning. Chloe, she whispered, voice trembling, I'm trying so hard to be logical here. Stop trying, Chloe whispered back. Just for one moment. Madison looked at her then, really looked at her, and Chloe knew. She knew something irreversible was happening. She could feel it in the way Madison's fingers curled slightly at her waist, in the way her breath mingled with Chloe's, in the way her body leaned forward just a fraction, before trembling with restraint. They were a breath apart, a heartbeat apart, one decision away from crossing the line they'd pretended didn't exist. Then, Madison stepped back, slowly, painfully, like pulling herself away from gravity itself. Chloe exhaled shakily, feeling the loss of warmth immediately. Madison ran a hand through her hair. If we do this, she said hoarsely, if we cross that line, I'm afraid I won't be able to pretend it meant nothing. Chloe's throat tightened. Maybe it wouldn't mean nothing. Madison laughed once, a broken, disbelieving sound. That's what scares me. They stared at each other. Two people caught between desire and fear, between logic and longing, between pretending and something dangerously real. Madison stepped backward until she reached the window. Snow fell behind her, glowing gold beneath the Christmas lights. We need boundaries, she said weakly. Chloe nodded, even though her heart rebelled against the idea. Right. Boundaries. We can't, Madison gestured vaguely between them. Do that. Right. We're just pretending. Of course. We're not. Attracted to each other, Chloe finished quickly. Madison's silence was louder than any confession. Chloe looked away first. Madison looked away second. Neither believed the lie. I'm going to shower, Madison said quietly. I need to reset my brain. Chloe forced a smile. Go, before your brain melts. Madison almost smiled back. Almost. She disappeared into the bathroom, leaving Chloe alone with her racing heart and the ghost of Madison's touch still burning on her skin. And as steam filled the bathroom and Madison leaned against the door with her hand pressed to her chest, Chloe sat on the edge of the bed and whispered into the empty room. We are so screwed. The next morning felt different. Chloe noticed it immediately, not in the house, not in the distant chatter of relatives preparing breakfast, not in the faint smell of cinnamon drifting through the hallway, but in Madison herself. Madison was quiet, not cold, not distant, just restrained, as if she had spent the entire night reconstructing the walls Chloe had begun to crack. Chloe emerged from the bathroom dressed for the Cole family's cozy Christmas morning. Tradition, soft sweater, jeans, fuzzy socks Madison had insisted she borrow because no fiancé of mine is walking around with cold ankles, only to find Madison sitting on the bed, hair still damp from her shower, wearing a red sweater that somehow made her look softer and sharper at the same time. Madison looked up at her. Their eyes met. A flicker of something passed between them, recognition, longing, fear, all tangled together like a string of Christmas lights no one could untangle. Morning, Madison said quietly. Morning, Chloe replied. The silence that followed wasn't awkward. It was charged, like both of them were waiting for the other to acknowledge what had almost happened last night. Instead, Madison cleared her throat. We should go downstairs. Nana insists on a big breakfast before the snow day activities. Chloe nodded, even though her heart wasn't ready for family interactions. But this time, the family's presence didn't feel intrusive. It was background noise, a warm seasonal hum compared to the electric storm between her and Madison. They walked downstairs side by side, shoulders occasionally brushing in ways that made Chloe's breath catch and Madison stiffen slightly, as if trying to pretend she didn't notice. Breakfast was lively but not overwhelming. Cousins telling stories, aunts arguing about secret recipes, Nana insisting everyone eat at least 2 servings of her famous gingerbread waffles. Madison's energy shifted subtly during breakfast. She kept glancing at Chloe, not in a playful, competitive way, in a checking on her way. Protective, soft. Once, when someone made a teasing remark about their wedding date, Chloe felt her breath hitch, and Madison's hand brushed against hers under the table, deliberately, gently, grounding her. Chloe looked at her in surprise. Madison didn't look back, but her cheeks warmed faintly. No one at the table noticed. It felt natural, easy, dangerous. After breakfast, Nana announced the next tradition, decorating the outdoor tree with handwritten wishes tied to silver ribbons. "You do it as pairs," she announced happily, and no one questioned that the 2 fiancés would be paired together. They stepped outside into the crisp winter air, each with a small silver tag to write a wish on. Chloe stared at hers, unsure what to write. Madison hesitated too. "What do you usually put?" Chloe asked. "Something practical," Madison said, frowning at her blank tag. "Like good health for Nana, or success for the company." "Nothing personal?" Chloe asked. Madison hesitated. "Personal things don't usually work out." The words were soft, honest, and they made something in Chloe ache. "Want to try something different this year?" Chloe asked gently. Madison looked at her, really looked at her, and nodded almost imperceptibly. They found a quiet corner of the snowy yard away from the main group. Madison leaned against the wooden railing, snowflakes landing on her hair, lashes, sweater. Chloe sat beside her, close enough for their knees to brush lightly. "Okay," Chloe said, tapping her pen. "I'll write mine first." Madison raised an eyebrow. "Let me guess. World peace." "No," Chloe said, shaking her head with a soft smile. "Something real." She wrote quickly, then tucked the tag away before Madison could see. Madison huffed. "You're no fun." "It's a secret wish," Chloe reminded. "That's literally the point." "Fine," Madison muttered, holding her own tag. She stared at it for a long time. Too long. Chloe waited, patient, quiet, present. Finally, Madison wrote something down with a trembling breath. She glanced at Chloe, then quickly folded the tag. No peeking. "I wouldn't," Chloe said. "I know," Madison murmured, softer than snow falling. They tied their wishes onto the branches. For a moment, the snow fell quietly around them, wrapping them in a pocket of stillness. Until one of Madison's younger cousins walked by, without looking up from his phone, muttered, "Cute," and kept walking. Chloe flushed. Madison rolled her eyes. "See? Natural level of family intrusion." "Yeah," Chloe said, smiling despite herself. "Honestly, way better." They returned indoors to warm up before the next event. Madison made hot cocoa, poorly, leaving clumps of unmixed powder floating on top, but insisted Chloe drink hers first to test toxicity levels. Chloe laughed so hard she nearly spilled it. "It's not that bad," she said after a sip. Madison sighed with relief. "Good. I'd hate to accidentally kill my fiancé during Christmas." Chloe snorted. "Please don't call me your fiancé like that." "Why? Does it make you nervous?" "No," Chloe lied. Madison smirked, clearly unconvinced. They carried their drinks to the sitting room, where a fire crackled softly and most of the family had dispersed to nap or wrap presents. Only Nana remained, humming softly as she wrote in her holiday planner. "Girls," she said without looking up, "why don't you two spend some time in the library? The rest of the family won't disturb you there. It's warm, quiet, cozy." She trailed off with a knowing smile. Madison looked horrified. Chloe nearly choked on her cocoa, but Nana added gently, You two haven't had much time alone to enjoy being engaged. Chloe's ears burned. Madison's ears burned harder. We'll go check the library, Madison managed. For book reasons, Chloe added. Nana smirked. Of course, dear. They fled. The library was enormous. 2 floors of darkwood shelves, a massive fireplace, leather armchairs, soft golden lamps, and windows overlooking the snowy garden. But more importantly, it was empty, quiet, safe. The moment the door closed behind them, Chloe leaned against it, exhaling. Your grandmother is terrifying. Oh, absolutely, Madison said. She sees everything. She definitely suspects we're falling in. Chloe stopped herself. Too soon. Too dangerous. Madison froze. Falling in what? Chloe cleared her throat. Into the Christmas spirit, Madison took a step closer. That's not what you were going to say. Chloe tried not to look at her lips. Doesn't matter. Madison stood in front of her now, close enough that Chloe could see the faint speckles of gold in her brown eyes. It does, Madison said, because whatever you were going to say, I was probably thinking it too. Chloe's pulse thundered. The library felt suddenly too warm. Madison, she whispered, we shouldn't. I know, Madison said softly. But I'm tired of pretending nothing is happening. Chloe's breath caught. Madison reached out, brushing her fingertips along Chloe's sleeve. Barely a touch, featherlight, but enough to send a shiver through her. This morning, Madison continued quietly, I woke up and I didn't want to keep my distance. I wanted to, she trailed off, frustrated. Vulnerable. Chloe stepped closer. Wanted to what? Madison swallowed. Wanted to be near you. The admission punched the air from Chloe's lungs. No one interrupted them. No family barged in. No chaos. Just snow falling outside, a crackling fire, warm light, and 2 women standing far too close for anything about this to remain pretend. Chloe spoke first, soft, steady. I don't know what's happening between us. Me neither, Madison whispered. But I know I don't want it to stop. Chloe's resolve fractured. Hope flickered dangerously in her chest. Madison lifted her hand, slowly, gently, and touched Chloe's cheek. A delicate, trembling touch that made Chloe's eyes flutter shut. Tell me to stop, Madison breathed. But Chloe couldn't, wouldn't. Instead, she leaned into Madison's touch, her breath brushing against Madison's palm. Madison's lips parted. Their foreheads touched soft, hesitant, electric. It wasn't a kiss. Not yet. But it was closer than anything they'd ever allowed. Closer than anything they could walk back from. The door handle rattled. They jumped apart like startled cats. Madison nearly tripped over an ottoman. Chloe nearly knocked over a lamp. The door cracked open slightly. One of the cousins poked their head in. Hey guys, Nana wanted me to ask if he stopped. Blinked. Looked between them. Am I interrupting? And no. They shouted at the same time. He squinted suspiciously. Okay, but Nana said something about wanting you two to help wrap presents later? Great. Madison said too loudly. Perfect. Chloe said even louder. He left. Silence returned. Heavy. Burning. Madison exhaled slowly. We almost, Chloe nodded. Yeah. Madison pressed her fingers against her lips, like she could still feel the ghost of what almost happened. We can't keep doing this. I know, but I also can't. Madison stopped. Closed her eyes. Open them. I can't stay away from you. Chloe's chest tightened. Then don't. Madison laughed softly, a broken, beautiful sound. This is going to end badly, Bennett. Probably, Chloe said. But right now it feels really, really right. Madison didn't answer. She didn't have to. The truth hung between them, glowing brighter than the Christmas lights outside. And neither of them made a move to walk away. Chloe had expected the day's next holiday activity to involve something simple, maybe ornament hanging or marshmallow roasting. Something safe. Something that didn't require her heart to perform gymnastics every time Madison stood within a 5-foot radius. But Nana had other plans. "Girls," she said gently after lunch, placing a warm hand on both their shoulders. "It's time for the annual Christmas memory wall." Chloe blinked. "The what?" Madison groaned. "Oh no, not this." Nana clapped her hands excitedly. Each pair gets a blank canvas and has to create a collage of meaningful moments, inside jokes, dreams, highlights of the year, all things that represent their relationship. Chloe's stomach flipped. Madison closed her eyes, whispering internally what Chloe assumed were multiple prayers for patience and oxygen. "Nana," Madison said carefully, "this activity is meant for actual couples." Nana stared at her, and Madison sighed. "Never mind." They were escorted to a cozy craft room filled with art supplies, Polaroids, glitter, markers, fabric scraps, stickers shaped like stars and snowflakes, tiny envelopes for secret messages. Only 2 other couples were present, each absorbed in their own collage. No family hovered. No one watched them. The privacy felt deliberate. Nana's doing, obviously. Chloe and Madison stood in front of their blank canvas. The silence stretched, warm and newly fragile. "Okay," Chloe said finally, clearing her throat. "We don't have couple memories." "Not official ones," Madison murmured. "But we have something." Chloe almost dropped the glue stick she was holding. "Something?" Madison's eyes flicked to hers, quick, unguarded, then immediately shielded. "I just mean we've spent 2 days together. A lot has happened." A lot is an understatement, Chloe thought. Near kisses, confessions, touches that still burned on her skin. They sat together on the floor, knees nearly touching, the canvas between them like a quiet witness. Chloe opened a box of Polaroids and began flipping through them. Madison leaned in close, closer than necessary, and Chloe felt the warmth of her shoulder, the faint scent of Madison's shampoo, and the unmistakable tremble of tension humming beneath Madison's careful composure. "Look," Chloe said softly, holding up a blurry picture taken during the cookie chaos. Madison stood with flour in her hair, laughing with her entire body. Unrestrained, joyful, real. Madison stared at it. Something softened in her posture. "I look ridiculous," she murmured. "You look happy," Chloe corrected. Madison didn't reply, but her lips lifted slightly. They began selecting images. One of their messy cookies, one under the giant mistletoe where they had refused to kiss, one of them during the scavenger hunt with snow in their hair. Chloe placed the first picture on the canvas. Madison reached for the glue at the same time. Their hands collided, small, soft, electric. Neither pulled away immediately. Both froze. Madison was the one who inhaled sharply. "Sorry," she whispered. "No," Chloe whispered back. "It's okay." But it wasn't okay. Or maybe it was too okay. Too easy. Too natural. Too everything. They worked quietly, cutting shapes, arranging photos, adding details. And little by little the canvas transformed, not into a fake couple's scrapbook, but into an almost painful reflection of what they were becoming. Madison wrote small captions in cursive beneath the images. Chloe added little doodles. Their knees brushed. Their arms bumped. Neither apologized anymore. Halfway through, Madison paused, her eyes fixed on a tiny envelope meant for secret couple messages. "We should skip that," she said quietly. Chloe tilted her head. "Why?" Madison swallowed. "Because if we write something, it might feel too real." Chloe understood. She understood so deeply, she didn't trust her voice at first. "We don't have to show anyone," Chloe said finally. "It can stay between us." Madison looked at her, slowly, intensely. "Okay." They each took an envelope. Chloe began writing first, her heart pounding. She wasn't sure how to express what she felt without confessing everything all at once. She settled for something simple, real. When she finished, she sealed it quickly. Madison stared at her blank paper for a long moment. "I don't know what to say," she whispered. "Say something true," Chloe said. Madison laughed softly, nervously. Dangerous advice. But she wrote, slowly, thoughtfully. When she finished, she hesitated before slipping her message into her envelope, fingers trembling. She placed it onto the canvas. Chloe placed hers beside it. Two secrets neither had the courage to read aloud. They stood to hang the canvas on the decorative string line along the wall, a task requiring them to lift it together. Chloe grabbed the left side. Madison grabbed the right. Their fingers brushed again. Madison didn't flinch. Chloe didn't either. They lifted, hung it, stepped back, and stared. It was beautiful, messy, vibrant, honest in ways it should not have been for two people supposedly pretending. Madison exhaled slowly. "This doesn't look fake." "No," Chloe whispered. "It doesn't." Madison turned toward her, eyes filled with something deep and unspoken. "Chloe, what are we doing?" Chloe stepped closer. Madison didn't move. "I'm not sure," Chloe admitted. Madison ran her thumb along the edge of a photo. "It feels like we're crossing a line we can't uncross." Chloe's voice softened. "Do you want to uncross it?" Madison closed her eyes. Her answer came out in a whisper. "I don't know." The door opened gently. Not abruptly. Not loudly. Just a soft push, revealing Nana with a tray of hot chocolate. "My loves," she said warmly. "I thought you could use something sweet while you work." Madison straightened instantly, but not in a panicked way this time. Just natural. Comfortable. Chloe took 2 mugs. "Thank you, Nana." Nana smiled at them, eyes impossibly kind. "You two work well together. Better than most couples I've seen." Madison's cheeks flushed. Chloe looked away before Madison could catch the heat rising on her own. Nana left as quietly as she came, not lingering, not prying, just offering warmth the way she always did. Madison stared at the door for a long moment after it closed. "She really believes in us," Madison whispered. "She thinks we're real." "Madison," Chloe said softly, "I think maybe we're the ones who don't know what's real anymore." Madison set her hot chocolate aside and sank onto the sofa by the fireplace. Chloe hesitated, then joined her. The fire crackled softly. Snow drifted outside. The whole room glowed gold, like it had been scripted for confessions. Madison rested her elbows on her knees, staring at the flames. "Do you ever feel like," she trailed off, shaking her head. "Never mind. Tell me," Chloe urged. Madison swallowed. "Like maybe we were never enemies. Maybe we were just terrified of what we felt." Chloe's breath caught. Madison continued. "It's stupid, right? We fought so much. We competed. We bickered. But sometimes I wonder if all that fire was just a distraction," Chloe finished. Madison looked at her, eyes wide. "Vulnerable." "Yes." Chloe nodded slowly. "I think I felt it too. Back then. I just didn't have words for it." Madison looked down at her hands. "And now?" Chloe took a breath. Her fingers inched closer to Madison's on the sofa cushion. Slowly, gently, until they touched. Madison froze, but didn't pull away. "Now," Chloe whispered, "it feels impossible to pretend there's nothing here." Madison's chest rose sharply, her breath unsteady. She turned her hand, threading their fingers together. The softest, smallest intimacy, and yet Chloe felt it everywhere. Madison whispered, "This is a mistake." Chloe whispered back, "Then why does it feel right?" Madison pressed her lips together. Her eyes shone. "Because I want it," she admitted. "And that scares me more than anything." Chloe squeezed her hand. "You don't have to be scared alone." Madison's laugh came out broken. "I don't know how to do this," she whispered. "I don't know how to want someone without ruining everything." Chloe moved closer, just enough that their thighs brushed. "Then let's learn. Together." Madison's breath trembled. Her forehead leaned toward Chloe's. Their bodies gravitated without permission, without thought, without logic. The moment was slow, fragile, perfect, and then the fire crackled loudly, a log shifting, making them both jump and break the spell. They pulled back, flustered, laughing nervously, breathing hard. "This house wants us to have a heart attack," Madison muttered. "Or a moment," Chloe whispered. Madison's eyes softened. "We already had one." They spent the next few minutes in quiet, still holding hands, neither willing to let go. Eventually, Nana called everyone for a family photo outside. Madison sighed. We should go. Chloe nodded, but neither woman stood. Neither let go. Madison spoke first. Tonight, after everyone's asleep, could we talk again? Chloe's pulse skyrocketed. Yes, she whispered. We could. Madison finally released her hand. Not quickly, not abruptly, but slowly, like letting go of something precious she wasn't ready to lose. And Chloe knew tonight was going to change everything. Chloe had never been more aware of time in her life. Every hour that passed after the memory wall felt like it moved both too quickly and too slowly, as if the universe couldn't decide whether to rush her toward Madison or force her to sit in anticipation until her heartbeat gave out. The Cole household slowly quieted into nighttime stillness. One by one, doors closed, lights dimmed, laughter faded into soft murmurs and then sleepy silence. Snow drifted past the windows in slow, lazy flakes. Somewhere downstairs, a music box played a faint tune, one of Nana's holiday melodies. Chloe sat on the edge of the bed, pretending to read Madison's abandoned magazine while her heart beat loud enough to echo. Madison had said, "Tonight we talk again." Chloe had replayed those words in her mind at least 50 times. She wasn't sure what scared her more, the idea of Madison coming or the possibility she wouldn't. When the knock finally came, soft, hesitant, barely there, Chloe nearly jumped. She forced herself to inhale once, deeply, then stood and crossed the room. When she opened the door, Madison was there, hair slightly messy, sweater sleeves pushed up, barefoot, eyes uncertain in a way that made Chloe's chest tighten. "Hi," Madison whispered. It wasn't a greeting. It was a confession. Chloe stepped aside. Madison entered. Chloe shut the door behind them, and for a moment neither moved. The soft glow of the Christmas lights strung across the room cast a warm halo around Madison, making her look unreal, golden, soft, vulnerable in a way that Chloe doubted anyone else had ever seen. "I couldn't sleep," Madison said quietly. Chloe's voice came out softer than she intended. "Me either." Madison moved to sit on the edge of the bed, but then hesitated. Instead, she sank to the floor near the window, legs crossed, arms wrapped loosely around her knees. It was such an un-Madison-like posture, unguarded, small, real, that Chloe felt her breath catch. Without thinking, she joined her on the floor. They sat side by side, backs resting lightly against the bed frame. Outside, the snowfall thickened, swirling softly around the golden lights lining the garden. "I've been thinking," Madison began, voice barely audible, "about everything." "Me too," Chloe said. Madison let out a tiny, shaky laugh. "Of course you have. You're Chloe Bennett. You overthink." "Not everything," Chloe said softly. "Not you." Madison's inhale was sharp, quiet but unmistakable. A rush of color warmed her cheeks. "Chloe, what about everything?" Chloe asked gently. Madison swallowed. "This. Us. Whatever this is becoming." Chloe didn't speak. She waited, letting Madison find her words. "I didn't expect any of this," Madison whispered. "Not you. Not this holiday. Not these feelings that." She stopped abruptly, as if the truth physically caught in her throat. Chloe turned slightly toward her. "It's okay," she said. "You don't have to say everything at once." Madison shook her head. "But if I don't, I'll just run. Like I always do." Chloe's heartbeat stumbled. Madison looked down at her hands. "You scare me," she admitted, voice raw. Chloe felt her breath falter. "Why?" Madison let out an exhale that sounded almost like surrender. "Because I want you. And I don't know how to want someone without destroying everything." The words hit Chloe like a wave. Hot, overwhelming, terrifying, beautiful. Madison pressed her palms against her eyes. "God, I shouldn't have said that." Chloe reached out before she could think, fingertips brushing Madison's wrist, then slowly sliding down to her hand. Madison froze. Chloe's voice was a whisper. "I'm glad you did." Madison lowered her hands, eyes luminous with shock and something else, relief. You are? Yeah, Chloe said softly. Because I want you to. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was full, alive, trembling. Madison's breath shook as she whispered, Chloe. They shifted toward each other, drawn naturally, inevitably. Chloe's knee brushed Madison's. Madison touched Chloe's cheek, tentatively, like she was afraid Chloe might disappear. Chloe leaned into the touch. Madison's thumb stroked gently along her cheekbone. Chloe's heart ricocheted inside her ribcage. They were so close now, closer than they'd ever been. Close enough to count the freckles on Madison's nose. Close enough to feel the warmth of her breath against her lips. Madison leaned in, slowly, painfully slow, her forehead brushing Chloe's, her hand trembling against her cheek. If we do this, Madison whispered, everything changes. I know, Chloe whispered. Do you want it to change? Madison hesitated, only for a second. Then she whispered, yes. Chloe exhaled shakily. Then come here. Madison laughed softly, nervously, beautifully, and began closing the last inch between them. Their lips would meet in seconds. One breath. Just one breath, and then voices. Right outside the door. Loud enough to snap the moment like fragile glass. Madison jerked back, eyes wide, heart hammering visibly beneath her sweater. Chloe's pulse shot violently through her veins. They both froze as footsteps stopped directly outside the room. I'm telling you, I heard something. A male voice. One of the cousins. Heard what? Another asked. Someone in Nana's craft room earlier. Something about pretending and keeping at the act. Sounded serious. Chloe's blood ran cold. Madison went pale. The cousin continued, voice lowering to a conspiratorial whisper. I think the engagement might be fake. Chloe clutched her chest. Madison stared at the door, terrified in a way Chloe had never seen. The second cousin scoffed. Come on. They look insanely in love. You're overthinking. I know what I heard, the first cousin insisted. I'm just saying something feels off. And if Nana finds out they're lying, Chloe's stomach twisted. Madison took a sharp breath, small, panicked. It'll ruin Christmas for her, the cousin finished. The footsteps faded. Silence. Chloe didn't breathe. Madison pressed a trembling hand to her lips. Oh my God, she whispered. Someone heard us. Someone knows. Chloe forced herself to breathe. We don't know how much they heard. Enough, Madison whispered, voice breaking. Enough to ruin everything. Chloe turned toward her. Madison? No, Madison said, shaking her head. If Nana finds out this is a lie before Christmas, before she's ready, her heart will break. Chloe moved closer, placing her hands on Madison's shoulders. We'll fix it. Madison's eyes filled with fear. How? Chloe squeezed gently. We've handled everything so far. We'll handle this too. Madison exhaled shakily, but let herself lean forward, her forehead landing softly against Chloe's shoulder. Chloe wrapped her arms around her without thinking. Madison melted into her, tense at first, then slowly softening, breathing unsteadily against Chloe's collarbone. They stayed like that, sitting on the floor, wrapped around each other, while snow fell outside and danger settled like a storm cloud around their faked but no longer faked hearts. Chloe stroked Madison's back gently. We'll get through this, she whispered. Madison's voice trembled. I don't want to lose you. Chloe's breath caught. You won't. Madison pulled back slightly, their faces inches apart again. But not kissing this time. Not out of hesitation. Out of urgency. Out of fear. Out of wanting. Chloe, she whispered, I think this is already more real than either of us meant it to be. Chloe cupped her cheek. Yeah, she whispered. Me too. But before they could try again, before their lips could find each other, the house settled with a creak, a reminder that they were not alone, that discovery lurked just beyond the wooden door. Madison swallowed. Tonight's not safe. I know. Chloe brushed her thumb gently across Madison's cheek. But soon. Madison nodded, eyes shining. Soon. They stayed close, touching, breathing, grounding each other until the fear settled into determination. And as Madison finally pulled away to slip silently back into her room across the hall, both of them knew tomorrow would change everything. Chloe wasn't sure she had taken a single full breath since the moment Madison told her, "Meet me in the library tonight." The entire day felt suspended in honey, slow, heavy, too sweet, too dangerous. Madison had disappeared into errands and family tasks, Chloe into helping Nana wrap presents. They didn't touch. They didn't speak. But every time they passed each other in a hallway, every time Chloe caught a glimpse of Madison brushing her hair back, or laughing stiffly at a relative's joke, or biting her lip in concentration as she tied a ribbon, Chloe felt something inside her shift, tighten, pull. It wasn't anticipation anymore. It was gravity. They were circling each other like two stars destined to collide, no matter how hard they fought the pull. By the time the house fell silent, long after dinner, long after carols, long after Nana's bedtime tea, Chloe's pulse was so loud she could feel it in her fingers. She waited exactly 15 minutes after the last light clicked off in the hallway. Then she slipped out. The house was dark except for the faint glow of holiday lights reflecting off the polished wood floors. Shadows of garlands and wreaths stretched long across the walls. Snow outside the windows caught the moonlight, turning everything a soft, silvery blue. Chloe padded silently down the staircase, heart hammering. When she reached the library, she paused, took one breath, then pushed the door open. Madison was already there, sitting by the fireplace, knees pulled up, arms wrapped around them, bathed in soft golden light. When she looked up, Chloe nearly forgot how to function. Madison wasn't wearing her usual guarded expression. She wasn't even wearing her confident, smirking one. She looked open, raw, beautiful in a way Chloe felt in her chest like an ache. "Hi," Madison said softly. It was the same word she had whispered outside Chloe's bedroom last night, but this time it felt heavier, loaded. Chloe closed the door behind her. "Hi," she whispered back. She walked closer. Madison watched every step like she expected Chloe to disappear if she blinked. Chloe sat beside her on the rug, close but not touching. The fire crackled quietly. Snow drifted outside. The world felt impossibly small, the size of the library, the size of the space between them. "You came," Madison said. "Of course I did," Chloe said. "I wasn't sure." "I was." Madison's breath shook. "That scares me." "Me too," Chloe admitted. Silence bloomed. Warm. Electric. Madison looked down, fiddling with the sleeves of her sweater. "I've been thinking about everything," she whispered. "About us. About the lie. About what happens after Christmas." Chloe swallowed hard. "What have you been thinking?" Madison hesitated. "I don't want this to end." Chloe's breath caught. "Madison?" "No, let me say it," Madison said quickly, voice trembling but determined. "I know this started as a game. I know we didn't mean it. I know I didn't mean it. I said yes to embarrass you. To prove, I don't know, something childish, something stupid." Chloe's chest tightened. Madison continued. "But then you were kind, and funny, and patient, and brave. And you held my hand when I was shaking and you looked at me like I wasn't a burden, like I wasn't failing." Chloe felt her eyes sting. Madison shook her head. "You don't understand. I don't let people close. I don't let people see me. Not really. But you," her voice cracked. "You're inside me in a way I can't undo." Chloe's breath hitched. Madison exhaled shakily. "And I don't know what to do with that." Chloe reached out, brushing a strand of hair away from Madison's face. It was a soft touch, a quiet promise. Madison's eyes fluttered closed at the contact. "Madison," Chloe whispered, "you don't have to do anything right now. You don't have to decide everything tonight. You just have to be honest. With me. With yourself." Madison's voice was a trembling whisper. "I want you." Chloe froze. Madison opened her eyes. "Not because it's safe. Not because it's pretend. Not because of Nana or the cousins or the contract." Her lips parted. Her breath caught. I want you because being near you feels like breathing for the first time in years. Chloe's heart shattered in slow motion and rebuilt itself in the same breath. She leaned forward. Madison didn't pull away. Then why are you scared? Chloe whispered. Madison gave a tiny, broken laugh. Because I don't know how to love someone without destroying it. Chloe shook her head, cupping Madison's cheek fully now. You won't destroy this. Madison whispered. You don't know that. Okay, Chloe said softly, thumb brushing Madison's skin. Then let's destroy it together. Madison blinked, stunned, then laughed softly, beautifully, as tears pricked the corners of her eyes. God, why do you have to say things like that? Because they're true, Chloe said. Madison leaned in, closer, closer, until their foreheads touched, until their breaths mingled, until Chloe could feel the tremor in Madison's lips as she whispered, I want to kiss you. Chloe's voice shook. Then kiss me. Madison inhaled sharply. Her hand slid to Chloe's waist, gathering the fabric of her sweater like she needed something to hold onto. Chloe's fingers curled against Madison's jaw. They leaned in, slowly, painfully, barely a breath apart then, from the hallway, the unmistakable sound of footsteps. Soft, slow, familiar. Madison, a gentle voice called. Nana. Madison jerked back like the floor had turned to fire beneath her. Chloe's pulse rocketed. Madison's breathing quickened. The doorknob rattled. Chloe nearly passed out. Dear? Nana's voice asked again, closer now. Are you awake? Madison grabbed Chloe's hand, whispering frantic instructions. Hide. Hide. Behind the armchair. Go, go, go. Chloe dashed behind the large velvet armchair near the fireplace, crouching low just as the door creaked open. Madison scrambled to sit cross-legged on the rug, grabbing the nearest book and pretending to read. Nana peeked inside, nightgown brushing the floor, silver hair glowing under the hallway light. Madison, she said softly. Are you all right? Madison forced a smile, too wide, too bright, too obvious, but Nana's vision wasn't great in dim light. Yes, Nana, Madison said quickly. Just couldn't sleep. Thought I'd read a bit. Nana stepped into the room, eyes scanning gently, but not thoroughly enough to catch Chloe's shaking form behind the armchair. It's very late, Nana said. You should get some rest. Tomorrow is Christmas Eve. A very important day for you both. Madison swallowed. I know. Nana smiled softly. Is Chloe asleep? Chloe shut her eyes tightly, praying Madison wouldn't give her away. Yes, Madison lied smoothly. She was exhausted. Nana nodded, satisfied. Good. She brings out something lovely in you, dear. I hope you take care of each other. Madison froze and whispered, I hope so too. Nana touched her shoulder gently, then turned and exited, humming a Christmas tune as she closed the door. The moment the latch clicked, Chloe emerged from behind the armchair, heart pounding against her ribs like it was trying to escape. Madison rushed to her. Are you okay? No, Chloe whispered. Are you? Madison shook her head. Absolutely not. And then they laughed. Soft, breathless, shaky laughter that dissolved their fear and pulled them together. Madison leaned her forehead against Chloe's shoulder, exhaling hard. We almost died, she whispered. Emotionally, Chloe corrected. Same thing. They stood there, holding onto each other like survivors of the same storm. Slowly, Madison pulled back, brushing her thumb along Chloe's jaw. Where were we? Chloe's heart thudded. Right before disaster? Madison's lips curved. Right before something that terrifies me even more. Chloe whispered. Madison. Madison rested her hand on Chloe's waist again. We can't kiss tonight, she said softly. Chloe nodded, though disappointment curled through her. Because you're scared? Because if I kiss you tonight, Madison whispered, eyes burning with truth, I won't be able to pretend tomorrow. Not even a little. Chloe's breath trembled. And pretending is still necessary. Until Christmas, Madison said. Then maybe not. Chloe's chest tightened with hope so sharp it hurt. They stood together in the firelight, inches apart but not touching more than necessary, breathing the same air, sharing the same fear, the same desire, the same impossible tenderness. Soon, Madison whispered. Chloe nodded. Soon. When they finally parted for the night, it wasn't out of fear. It was out of restraint, out of promise, out of something growing too big to hide anymore. By the time Christmas Eve morning arrived, the entire Cole household had shifted into a higher emotional gear, more warmth, more chaos, more glitter, more food, more everything. But for Chloe and Madison, something else had shifted entirely. Something silent, electric, heavy. Their almost kiss in the library lingered between them like a held breath no one dared to release. Their promise of soon rattled inside Chloe's chest with every passing hour. She woke up already thinking of Madison. And judging by the soft knock on the door at 8 a.m., Madison had woken up thinking of her too. Chloe opened it, still in pajamas, hair messy, cheeks warming instantly. Madison stood there holding 2 mugs of peppermint cocoa, wearing a red sweater so soft it looked illegal. "Good morning," Madison said, voice gentle in a way that made Chloe's knees wobble. "Morning," Chloe whispered. Madison glanced down at Chloe's pajamas and smiled, really smiled, with dimples and everything. Cute. Chloe nearly dropped dead on the spot. They moved through the morning like 2 magnets pretending not to understand physics. Brushing arms in the hallway, walking too close in the kitchen, sharing smiles that lasted a beat too long. Every touch accidental but not. Every glance a question and an answer at once. But the family's energy was high, unpredictable. Chloe could feel eyes on them. Curious, confused, suspicious, amused. Especially the cousin who had overheard them. He hovered like a storm cloud waiting to burst. After brunch, Nana gathered everyone in the grand living room for the annual Christmas Eve pair games, which included everything from rapping contests to trivia to partner charades. Madison groaned quietly. Chloe elbowed her playfully. Scared of losing? Madison lifted a brow. "Please. I was born to win." "Then don't embarrass your fiancé in front of your family." Madison didn't miss a beat. "Impossible. I'm too charming." Chloe snorted. Their dynamic, fun, flirty, natural, drew attention, but not suspicion. Except from one person. The cousin. He watched with narrowed eyes, like he was waiting for something to slip. And things almost did. During the snowman building contest outside, Madison reached for Chloe's hand to steady herself on the ice, and didn't let go fast enough. During cookie judging, Chloe instinctively brushed flour from Madison's jaw, and Madison's expression softened too visibly. During ornament decorating, Madison rested a hand on Chloe's back, and Chloe leaned into it. Every moment was real, too real, and for the first time, neither of them wanted to pull back. But then came the moment that changed everything. The mistletoe. Not the one from earlier. Not the big decorative one hanging in the Great Hall. This was a smaller one. Elegant, silver-ribboned, hung intentionally above the entry archway between the living room and the dining room. Chloe noticed it first. Madison noticed it second. The cousin noticed it third. And he smirked. "Hey, everyone," he called, loud enough to summon the entire family. "Look where our favorite lovebirds just walked under." Chloe and Madison froze directly beneath the mistletoe. The room erupted in cheers, whistles, chants of kiss, kiss, kiss. Madison stiffened, panic flickering across her eyes. Chloe felt her heart slam into her ribs. This was exactly what they had avoided for days. Exactly what they had feared. But then something changed. Madison met Chloe's eyes. For one impossible second, the world went silent. Family noise fading into nothing. Snow muffled the outside world. Fire crackles became distant. Only Chloe's heartbeat remained. And Madison's. Madison whispered so quietly only Chloe could hear. "Do you trust me?" Chloe nodded without hesitation. Madison stepped closer. Her hand rose slowly, deliberately, brushing Chloe's jaw with the gentlest touch Chloe had ever felt. Chloe's breath hitched. Madison swallowed hard. "I want this," she whispered, voice trembling with honesty. Not because they're watching. Not because of the game. Because of last night. Because of everything. Chloe didn't breathe. Couldn't. Me too, she whispered back. Madison exhaled shakily. Relief. Fear. Want. All at once. And then she leaned in. No acting. No pretending. No hesitation left. Her lips met Chloe's with a softness that shattered Chloe completely. The kiss was slow at first, tentative, careful, like they were learning each other's language for the first time. Chloe's hands lifted to Madison's waist. Madison's fingers slid into Chloe's hair. The world fell away. There was no mistletoe, no family, no lies, only warmth, only truth, only them. The room erupted in applause, whistles, cheers, none of which Chloe heard. Because Madison deepened the kiss by a fraction, tilting her head, lips pressing with a quiet, desperate wanting that made Chloe's knees weaken. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't showy. It was intimate, real. A promise disguised as a touch. When they separated, barely, reluctantly, the room was wild with joy. Nana clapped her hands, beaming so brightly she could have powered the Christmas lights. "My girls," she cried. "So in love." Madison looked at Chloe then, really looked, and Chloe felt the air shift. But the cousin stepped forward. Suspicious. Calculating. "Funny," he said loudly over the cheering. "Because last night I could have sworn." Madison's hand found Chloe's instantly. Intertwining. Protective. "You could have sworn what?" Madison asked, voice firm, steady, dangerous. The cousin opened his mouth, ready to expose everything. Chloe's stomach dropped. Madison squeezed her hand. "Go on," she said coolly. "Tell everyone how you were eavesdropping outside our rooms in the middle of the night." The cousin froze. The room quieted. A few relatives raised eyebrows. Nana frowned. "You were spying on them?" she asked, tone sharp enough to cut glass. He panicked. I wasn't spying. I just heard." "Sounds like spying to me," Madison said, crossing her arms. "Honestly, it's creepy." The entire room turned against him instantly. The cousin flushed bright red. "I wasn't." "Sweetheart," Nana interrupted, shaking her head. "Next time, respect people's privacy." He deflated like a balloon. Chloe nearly laughed out of pure relief. Madison gave his shoulder a firm pat, ending the conversation decisively. Then she turned back to Chloe. The room's attention drifted away, back toward festivities, cocoa, music. As soon as they had a moment alone near the corner of the room, Chloe whispered, "You kissed me." Madison's lips curved, small, soft, vulnerable. "You kissed me back." Chloe stared at her. "Madison, that wasn't pretending." Madison swallowed. "I know. And you didn't do it for them." "I know." "Then why?" Madison reached up, touching Chloe's cheek again, soft, tender, trembling. "Because pretending hurts more than the truth," she whispered. "Because I could not kiss you." Chloe's heart broke open like light through stained glass. Madison leaned closer, forehead brushing Chloe's. "Tonight," Madison whispered. "After dinner. Library. No interruptions this time." Chloe smiled breathlessly. "I'll be there." Madison's lips hovered a whisper away again. "I know." And for the first time, Chloe believed that everything, every lie, every mistake, every fear, had been leading them to this moment. A kiss under the mistletoe. A truth disguised as tradition. And a love neither of them could hide anymore. Chloe could still feel the ghost of Madison's lips hours after the mistletoe kiss, a soft burn imprinted on her skin, impossible to shake no matter how much cocoa she drank or how many conversations she forced herself into. The rest of the family buzzed around the living room preparing sweets and telling old stories, yet Chloe felt detached from everything except the memory of Madison's mouth brushing hers, gentle, searching, almost reverent. That kiss had changed something fundamental between them. She saw it in the way Madison kept glancing her way, quickly, almost shyly, as if afraid of being caught but unable to look away. Dinner came and went in a haze of cinnamon, roasted vegetables, and nervous glances. Madison barely spoke. Chloe pretended not to stare. The suspicious cousin, always hovering, always watching, seemed more attentive than ever, whispering to another relative, furrowing his brow like he was piecing together a puzzle no one asked him to solve. It made Chloe uneasy. It made Madison tense. When Nana announced she was heading upstairs to rest, Madison stood almost immediately, murmured an excuse, and slipped out of the room. She didn't look at Chloe directly, but the subtle tilt of her head was enough. It wasn't a request. It was an invitation. 5 minutes later, Chloe followed the soft glow of Christmas lights lining the hallway, her heart pounding as though she were walking towards something inevitable, something dangerous, something wonderful. She reached the bedroom door just as it opened. Madison stood there in soft pajamas, her hair slightly tousled, her eyes warm with something Chloe had never seen so openly before. "Come in," Madison whispered. Chloe stepped inside, and Madison closed the door behind them, turning the bedroom into a private universe where the rest of the house didn't exist. 2 twin beds sat on opposite sides of the room, but tonight the space between them felt small, manageable, crossable. Madison sat on the edge of her bed, hands clasped, nervous energy radiating off her in waves. Chloe had seen her fierce, competitive, sarcastic, guarded. But never like this. Never vulnerable. "Sit with me?" Madison asked softly. Chloe crossed the room and sat beside her. Their knees touched. Their shoulders brushed. The air shifted. "I've been thinking about that kiss," Madison said, voice barely above a whisper. Chloe swallowed. "Me too." Madison exhaled shakily. "I didn't expect it to feel like that." Chloe's pulse thudded. "Like what?" Madison hesitated, then met her eyes fully. No shields, no armor. "Like something I've been wanting for years without admitting it." Chloe's breath hitched. "Madison, I know," Madison murmured, shaking her head as if overwhelmed by her own honesty. "I don't even know why I'm saying this. Maybe because I'm tired of pretending I don't feel things when I do. Maybe because tonight made it impossible to hide." Chloe reached out and took her hand gently. Madison didn't pull away. She intertwined their fingers immediately, like it felt natural, like she'd been waiting for it. "We don't have to pretend," Chloe whispered. Madison's lips parted slightly, her breath trembling as though she'd been starved of this closeness for too long. Chloe felt the pull, the unmistakable magnetic draw, making every inch of space between them feel charged. Madison lifted her free hand and touched Chloe's cheek with trembling fingers. "Can I ask you something?" "Anything," Chloe whispered. "Did you want to kiss me earlier, or did you just do it because of the mistletoe?" Chloe leaned into her touch. "Madison, I wanted to kiss you long before the mistletoe." Madison inhaled sharply, something fierce and tender flashing in her eyes. And then she closed the distance. There was no hesitation this time, no performance, no pretense. Madison's lips met Chloe's in a slow, deep, deliberate kiss that sent warmth pulsing through Chloe's entire body. It wasn't a quick brush. It was full, lingering, searching. Madison's hand sliding into Chloe's hair, Chloe's fingers tightening around Madison's waist as their bodies leaned into each other. Madison kissed her like she had been holding back for years. Chloe kissed her like she finally understood everything she had mistaken for rivalry. When they pulled apart, breathless and close enough that their noses brushed, Madison didn't panic. She didn't pull away. Instead, she let out a soft, disbelieving laugh against Chloe's lips. "I've wanted to do that since we were 17, she whispered. Chloe smiled, stunned. "You hated me." "I thought I did," Madison murmured. "I thought anger was easier than wanting you." Chloe's heart cracked open. She brushed her thumb along Madison's jaw, marveling at the softness in her expression. "Madison." Madison leaned their foreheads together, eyes fluttering closed. "Stay with me tonight?" Chloe froze. "Are you sure?" Madison opened her eyes, clear, determined, full of emotion. "I don't want to sleep alone. Not tonight. Not after this." Chloe exhaled shakily. "Then I'm not going anywhere." Madison lifted the blanket, and Chloe slid under it beside her. Their bodies fit together instantly, naturally, like they had been designed to share warmth. Madison curled into Chloe, resting her head against her shoulder, draping an arm around her waist. Chloe held her close, her heart pounding wildly but peacefully at the same time. "You feel safe," Madison whispered, surprising them both. "You feel like home," Chloe whispered back. Madison let out a shuddering breath and nuzzled closer, as if trying to merge into the comfort she had just admitted she needed. Chloe was about to say something honest, something terrifying, when the doorknob rattled violently. They froze. Chloe, the suspicious cousin. Madison tensed against her, gripping her shirt. "Don't move," she mouthed. "Are you awake?" he hissed. "I need to talk to you." Chloe's heart hammered. Madison slipped out of bed silently, crossed the room in 3 quick steps, and locked the door. The cousin jiggled the handle again. "I know you're hiding something," he whispered harshly. "Everyone sees it. You too aren't." A soft voice interrupted. "Sweetheart, Nana." Madison's eyes widened in horror. The cousin stuttered. "Nana, what are you doing at their door at this hour?" Nana asked, stern. "I heard." "Well, I thought." "You should let the girls rest," Nana said. "Tomorrow is important." "But now," she said sharply. His footsteps retreated. Madison pressed her forehead to the door in silent relief. Then Nana's voice floated gently through the wood. "Girls?" Madison's eyes shot open. Chloe barely breathed. "Whatever you're going through," Nana continued softly, "love is worth the trouble. Don't let fear ruin something real." Madison clapped a hand over her mouth, emotion flooding her eyes. Chloe felt her chest twist painfully. "Good night, my dears," Nana said. "I love you both." When her footsteps faded, Madison turned slowly, her expression fragile and overwhelmed. Chloe opened her arms without speaking. Madison walked straight into them. They returned to the bed, sliding under the blanket, bodies naturally finding each other again. Madison rested her palm against Chloe's cheek. "Kiss me again," she whispered. Chloe did, soft, lingering, full of everything she hadn't been able to say. They kissed until their breaths mingled and their foreheads touched, until Madison tucked herself against Chloe's chest and let sleep finally claim her, safe and warm for the first time in years. Chloe held her through the night, realizing she was already gone, already in love. And Madison, even in sleep, clung to her like she'd finally stopped running. Christmas morning arrived wrapped in soft snowfall, the kind that blanketed the world in gentle silence, as if the entire earth were holding its breath. Chloe woke to warmth, real warmth, not just the weight of blankets, but the soft press of Madison's body curled against hers, an arm draped over her waist, her breath feathering lightly against Chloe's collarbone. For a moment, Chloe didn't move. She memorized it. All of it. The way Madison's leg tangled with hers, the way her fingers curled in the fabric of Chloe's shirt, the way she fit so perfectly into the curve of her body, it made Chloe wonder if something in the universe had been pulling them toward this moment for a decade. Madison stirred, making a sleepy, contented sound that hit Chloe so hard she almost forgot how to breathe. Slowly, Madison lifted her head, her cheek brushing Chloe's chest as she blinked awake. Her eyes softened instantly. "Morning," she whispered, voice rough from sleep. "Merry Christmas." Chloe smiled, her heart flipping. "Merry Christmas." Madison hesitated, then brushed her lips softly over Chloe's jaw. Just a small kiss, instinctive, intimate, impossible to mistake for anything but affection. "I could get used to waking up like this," Madison murmured. Chloe's breath caught. But before she could answer, a loud knock rattled the door. They froze. "Girls?" Nana's warm voice filtered in. "Breakfast is ready. Everyone's waiting in the great room." Madison gasped and pulled back slightly. Chloe bit her lip to keep from laughing. Waking up wrapped around each other on Christmas morning. Yeah, that certainly made things real. "Coming," Madison called, voice cracking adorably. Nana hummed and moved away. Madison groaned into her hands. "Oh God, we're ridiculous." Chloe grinned. Cute ridiculous. Madison peeked at her, through her fingers. You kiss my jaw. You kiss me first. Madison flushed crimson. Christmas insanity. Temporary weakness. Chloe raised a brow. Want to take that back? Madison stared at her for a long moment, then leaned forward and kissed her again. Slow, warm, lingering. No, she whispered against her lips. I don't want to take anything back. They eventually got out of bed, stumbling around each other in a mix of nervous laughter and charged glances as they changed into cozy sweaters. Madison's hand brushed Chloe's waist once, twice on purpose. Chloe brushed Madison's shoulder in return. The air between them wasn't the same anymore. It was sweet and dangerous and full of gravity. When they stepped into the hallway, the house smelled like cinnamon rolls, pine, and fresh coffee. Madison reached for Chloe's hand without thinking. Chloe led her. They walked toward the great room until someone stepped into their path. The cousin, the suspicious one. He looked at their joined hands, at their flushed faces, at how close they stood. His eyes narrowed like he'd just confirmed every theory he'd ever invented. We need to talk, he said sharply. Madison stiffened. Not now. Yes, now, he hissed. Because last night I heard. You heard nothing, Madison snapped. He smirked. Right. Nothing. Except maybe that this whole engagement is a... Chloe stepped forward, cutting him off. Say it, she dared. Go ahead. His grin sharpened. A lie. Madison inhaled sharply. Chloe felt her stomach drop. He leaned in, voice low. And I'm going to tell the whole family. Madison stepped in front of Chloe instantly, protective and fierce. You'll hurt Nana, she warned, voice shaking not with fear but fury. She's been happier than I've seen her in years. If you ruin Christmas for her, I'm saving her from disappointment, he snapped. When she finds out you've been lying. We're not lying, Madison said, loudly enough to surprise them all. Chloe blinked. The cousins snorted. Please. I literally heard. You heard nothing that gives you the right to attack us, Madison said, standing taller. And if you think you can march into a room full of people who love me and cause chaos on Christmas, think again. The cousin opened his mouth to argue, but Nana's voice floated from the far end of the hallway. What's going on? They all turned. Nana stood there in a festive red sweater, looking small but strong, her eyes sharper than they'd expected. Chloe felt Madison tense beside her. Nana approached slowly. Why are you three whispering like you're plotting something? The cousin straightened, ready to spill everything. Nana, there's something you need to know about your granddaughter and... No, Madison snapped. But Nana lifted a hand. Let him speak, darling. Madison swallowed hard. Chloe reached subtly for her hand. Madison squeezed once, terrified. The cousin took a breath. Their engagement, it's not real, Nana finished gently. They all froze. Madison's face drained of color. Chloe's heart seized. Nana, Madison whispered. I can explain, but Nana lifted her hand again, her expression impossibly calm. I've lived a long time, she said softly. Long enough to know when two people are pretending and when two people are falling in love. Madison's lips parted. Chloe felt tears sting her eyes. I don't care which one you think this is, Nana continued, because I know what I saw this morning. Madison's voice shook. This morning, Nana smiled knowingly. You think you're quiet sleepers? Please. The walls in this old house are thin. Madison turned scarlet. Chloe covered her face. Nana chuckled. I didn't hear anything inappropriate, calm down. But I heard comfort. I heard closeness. I heard two people breathing like they were finally safe. Chloe's chest twisted painfully. Madison blinked fast, her throat working. Nana turned to the cousin. And that is none of your business. He sputtered. But they lied. They are human, Nana said firmly. And sometimes humans protect themselves from things they don't understand yet. Madison looked like she might break. Chloe squeezed her hand again, this time for strength. But if either of you ever hurts the other on purpose, Nana added, suddenly sharp, I will personally throw you both into a snowbank. Madison let out a strangled laugh. Chloe choked on hers. Nana smiled. Now come to breakfast. It's Christmas. Love is in this house whether you two admit it or not. She shuffled away, humming. The cousin glared once more before storming off. When they were finally alone again, Madison slumped against the wall, eyes wide and shimmering. She knew, she whispered. She didn't know the truth, Chloe said softly. She knew the feeling. Madison's voice dropped to something vulnerable. Chloe? Yeah. Madison stepped closer, so close their foreheads nearly touched. I'm done being afraid. Chloe felt breathless. What do you mean? Madison cupped her face with trembling hands. I mean this, us, whatever this is, it's not a lie anymore. And then Madison kissed her, right there in the hallway, on Christmas morning. Soft. Sure. Certain. Chloe melted into her instantly, hands curling in Madison's sweater, kissing her back with every ounce of emotion she tried to bury. When they pulled apart, Madison whispered, Merry Christmas, Chloe. Chloe kissed her again. Best Christmas I've ever had. Christmas Day unfolded like a dream, slow, warm, glittering with possibility. After their kiss in the hallway, Madison and Chloe walked toward the great room hand in hand, unsure of what the day would bring but certain of one thing. Whatever happened, they were facing it together. The family was gathered around the massive Christmas tree, a towering masterpiece draped in gold ribbons and twinkling lights that bounced off glass ornaments. Everyone cheered when they entered, assuming they'd simply overslept. Madison squeezed Chloe's hand once more before releasing it, only because Nana winked at them knowingly, and Madison nearly choked trying not to blush. Gifts were exchanged, wrapping paper flew. Children squealed, cocoa spilled, dogs barked, and the entire room buzzed with chaotic joy. Yet through every moment, every laugh, every accidental brush of fingers as they sat side by side, Chloe felt something stronger than the Christmas spirit humming between them. She felt promise. She felt certainty. She felt Madison leaning into her shoulder during a joke, her breath warm against her ear. She felt Madison's knee pressed against hers beneath the blanket they shared on the couch. She felt Madison's pinky hooking around hers when nobody looked. It was subtle. It was sweet. It was real. But of course, not everyone basked in blissful holiday ignorance. The cousin, skulked in the corner like a villain rejected from a Lifetime Christmas movie for being too dramatic. He kept staring at them, fuming, muttering to himself. Chloe had a bad feeling. Madison had a worse one. And that feeling became a reality when Nana announced, All right, my dears. Before we have Christmas brunch, we will continue our family tradition, the annual Christmas toast. Everyone cheered except the cousin, whose face lit up with malicious inspiration. Madison noticed immediately. Oh no, she whispered. He's planning something. Chloe leaned close. Then we'll handle it. Madison glanced at her, stunned by the calm certainty in Chloe's voice. Before she could respond, Nana raised her crystal glass. This year's toast will be extra special, she said warmly, because we're celebrating not just the season, but the love blossoming between our Chloe and our Madison. Madison nearly fainted. Chloe's soul left her body. The cousin grinned like he'd been given the perfect opening. He slammed his glass down so hard the table rattled. Actually, he announced loudly, I think there's something everyone here deserves to know. The room fell silent. Madison's face lost every shade of color. Chloe felt Madison's hand tremble beside her. Nana looked confused. Sweetheart, what are you? They're lying, the cousin declared triumphantly. Gasps erupted. Madison rose to her feet instantly. Stop it. No, he said smugly. I will not stop. Not when the entire family has been fooled. Chloe stood too, moving beside Madison like a shield. But he kept going. This engagement is fake. The room froze. Someone dropped a fork. Madison's eyes filled with panic, but she forced her voice steady. You don't know what you're talking about. Oh, don't I? He sneered. You two have hated each other since high school. Suddenly you're in love. Suddenly you announce an engagement. He swung toward Nana triumphantly. She lied to your face. Madison inhaled sharply, hurt cutting through her like a blade. But Chloe stepped forward before Madison could. Her voice, steady but shaking with emotion, cut through the room. Yes, Chloe said. The room gasped again. Madison whipped her head toward Chloe, stunned. Chloe. Yes, Chloe repeated louder. I did lie. Madison's breath stuttered. The cousin smirked, victory gleaming in his eyes. But Chloe wasn't finished. She turned to the family, then to Nana. I lied at first. Not because I wanted to hurt you. Not because I wanted something from any of you. I lied because I didn't understand what was happening between us. The cousin blinked, confused. Madison stared at Chloe like she was witnessing a miracle. Chloe continued, voice cracking. Madison and I started this as a dare. A stupid joke, something we both thought we'd laugh about someday. And yes, we pretended. But somewhere between the pretending, we stopped pretending. The entire room held its breath. Madison covered her mouth, eyes bright with tears. Chloe turned fully to Madison. I fell in love with you, she whispered. Somewhere between the decorations and the midnight conversations and the cookies we ruined together, somewhere between every moment we were forced to spend together, I fell in love with you. And I'm not pretending anymore. A hush washed over the room like snow settling after a storm. Madison stepped closer, so slowly, like she feared Chloe might vanish if she moved too fast. Chloe's voice trembled. I don't care how this started. I don't care what anyone thinks. I just want you to know the truth. And the truth is I want this. I want you. Not as a dare. Not as a lie. But as something real. The cousin sputtered. This is ridiculous. She's just trying to save herself. Shut up. Madison snapped so fiercely the entire room jumped. Then she turned to Chloe, her voice breaking but steady. You think you're the only one who fell? Chloe's breath caught. Madison cupped her face with trembling hands. Chloe Bennett, I have been in denial for 10 years. 10 years. And this week woke up everything I buried. Every spark, every want, every stupid rivalry that was really just me not knowing how to deal with how you made me feel. Chloe's knees nearly buckled. The cousin rolled his eyes dramatically. Oh, please. Nana swatted him with a napkin. Hush. Madison took Chloe's hands. I love you, she said. Simple, clear, certain. Chloe's heart detonated in her chest. I love you too, she whispered. Madison laughed softly, pulling Chloe closer. Of course you do. You slept with your cold feet on my calves all night. They were warm feet. They were ice cubes. The family laughed, relieved, emotional, charmed. Even Nana dabbed her eyes. The cousin groaned loudly. So what? We're just supposed to accept this disaster of a relationship. Madison turned to him, fierce and calm. No, you're not supposed to accept anything. She took Chloe's hand again and lifted it slightly. But this is the woman I love, and you don't get to decide that. The room erupted in applause, actual applause, as if this were a scene from a Christmas movie and everyone had been waiting for the kiss. And then Madison kissed her. In front of everyone. A real kiss. Soft but sure, tender but confident, full of everything they'd held back and everything they no longer wanted to hide. Chloe melted into her, the world blurring until all she felt was warmth and peppermint and the miracle of Madison's hands holding her like something precious. When they pulled apart, breathless and laughing, Nana raised her glass again. To love, she declared. To messy, unexpected, wonderful love. The room echoed her. Toasts rose. Cheers filled the air. Snow began to fall outside again, slow and heavy and magical. Chloe leaned her forehead against Madison's. So, Chloe whispered. Fake engagement? Madison smirked. Maybe not so fake anymore. Really? Chloe breathed. Really? Madison whispered, kissing her again, softer this time. But next time you propose, don't do it as a dare. Do it because you mean it. Chloe grinned. I already do. Madison's eyes softened. Then maybe one day. Yeah, Chloe said. One day. They held each other as the noise rose around them. Family laughing, glasses clinking, Christmas songs playing faintly from the speakers. And somewhere in the middle of all of it, with snow drifting lazily against the windows and the scent of cinnamon warming the air, Chloe realized that the greatest miracle of this Christmas wasn't magic or tradition. It was Madison. And Madison looked at her like she knew exactly the same thing. For the first time in 10 years, their story wasn't rivalry. It wasn't anger. It wasn't pretending. It was love. Real, messy, unexpected love. And it was just beginning.